Hi, everybody. Very good afternoon. Thank you all for joining in, and let's get started, right? So, product mindset and design recipe for impact and innovation. That's where we're heading this afternoon. In today's hyper competitive world, innovation isn't just a buzzword, right? It's a survival skill. But how do you design products that truly create impact? How do you balance creativity, data, and customer needs? We will get into all that and more. Welcome, Saurabh. Thanks for taking up time this afternoon. So, a quick introduction to Saurabh. Saurabh is a tech entrepreneur and co-founder and CTO at Frugo. With 2 decades in the industry, he specializes in customer-centric products, high-performance teams, and data analytics strategies. In the past, he has led leadership roles in Michelin, GE, and Oracle, right? And I'm also happy to share that he's an author of many books, and some of them are databases, data lakes, and change leadership. Saurabh is also a alumnus of Harvard Business School and BITS Pilani. Yeah. Thanks, Saurabh. I guess it's been a week plus time we've been posting about this particular session, and happy to know uh, quite a lot of them interested to know the product mindset. I've registered and blocked your time to get this interaction with you this afternoon. Right? Over to you.
Thanks a lot, Sarup, and thanks, Skillemme, for hosting me for this podcast. And I really appreciate, giving introducing me to the audience here. And this is one of my favorite topics to how to build the product mindset at organizations of different scales and volumes. So looking forward for this 1 hour of intense discussion around the product mindset.
Great, great. So to set things up, Saurabh, so how do you define a product mindset, right? And why it is critical in today's environment?
Well, if you see the product mindset is all about continuous improvement and continuous creating value for the consumers versus the project mindset, which is more about defining the timelines, chasing those timelines, and talking in terms of deliverables. For example, as a quick thing, what I can connect to is, say, for example, this coffee. We all love coffee. We are coffee lovers. Now, every day when we make, unless until we achieve the perfectionist mindset, right, we will be finding some or the other thing. Like today, the water was more, the coffee was not grinded well, or something like there are folk finicky lovers of coffee who will find that right temperature when it has to be served to the people, right? So every day, whatever changes we make, every inch, every step that we make in order to make something, consumable, sellable, that essentially reflects the product mindset.
Is it like try till you succeed, or is there another line to that?
I'll probably replace that try with a well-defined plan.
Mm-hmm.
We can't do hit and trial every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it is required. There are intuitions, there are smart, hits that we can do, but over the time, there should be some strategy or say the product and over the time when we cross through the bridge for a product journey, we get to know that, okay, there are sufficient voices around coming from the customer base, coming from your audience who are saying that this is what the common day problems are or say challenges are, and that eventually translates into your capability for the product. So this mindset of listening to the customer, digesting, accepting it, planning it in a way that this is what we need to build, this is how the product has to evolve, and coming up with that particular addition, incremental change in the product. That is what the product mindset. Instead of saying that on that particular day or nth day of my product journey is when I'm going to release these set of features without thinking whether they are viable for your customers or not.
Hmm.
Right.
Thanks for making it easy, right? And that's a great perspective, I must say, sort of. So let's get deep into this conversation now. So, what's the first step for an organization or a team from a project driven approach to a product driven approach?
Well, as I said, see, project, when I'm starting a project, I need to know that when I'm going to finish that. I need to define the milestones. So these are all, say, outputs, right? So I need to know in my mind that these are the dates, these are the several milestones when I need to deliver an output.
Mhm.
Versus if I think about creating value for my consumers, the outcomes. Right. So the first level of differentiation starts from output versus outcomes. When you adopt product mindset, when product mindset becomes a critical component of your culture, then we think in terms of outcomes rather than output. That's a very first difference, I would say. It reflects in all the behavior that the team adopts, that the team acts. Now, one of the, say, we are surrounded with so many products. You open your mobile app, there'll be a lot of products starting from WhatsApp, your food delivery apps, your, say, Make My Trip, right? Your Uber, Ola. Most of these successful companies who are operating at scale have adopted product driven mindset in at one of their steps throughout the journey.
That's interesting. I mean, can you share a real life example of a company that made this shift successfully? Because since you're quoting a lot of names, I know me being in Bangalore and people across the globe, especially in India, they're so used to a lot of these e-commerce apps, right? Can you give a little more light around in terms of
Yeah,
the success from the shift from a.
absolutely. Yeah. See, I come from a retail industry, and we go through Zepto, Swiggy, Blinkit every single day, Zomato. Now, if you see, and so probably I'll answer this in two parts. One is that what we all experience, go through every day, and in fact, the audience, they will also be able to connect that what I'm talking about, and they can reflect back that whatever the changes or whatever the actions they do on a daily basis, what mindset they can see there. So take an example of say Zomato. Now Zomato, when it started 10 to 14 years back, it used to be a classified business. Right now, over the time, the incremental changes that they have done, they've innovated their product base. Now there are features. You can have the food delivery, which is the prime facie of your Zomato, then primary outcome of the Zomato. But then there are incremental features like you have multiple cards creation, you have order tracking, right? You can go and view your order history, you can search for your favorite restaurants, you have distance based ranking and rating now, bulk orders, scheduling later. So these are the things which they observed over the time within their customers. Some of them were asked, some of them were unasked, and they sort of deduced from the customer behavior. And now all of these are packaged into the product, right? Now, if I come to this side of the world where I, as as the product and tech leader at Frogo, what we observed over the time was so initially when we started this, we were only probably say plugging in the demand from the food aggregators like Zomato, Swiggy, and ONDC, and fulfilling from our dark store network. Now, since the inventory is at the store, right? Now the brands are asking that why we need to expose this inventory to the limited set of aggregators. Why can't we probably use this inventory for bulk orders or influencer marketing for sampling? Interesting. But you never know. I mean, I can't take out the inventory just like that from the stores. So what we gave them an option is to have the direct ordering from our Pulse platform. Now they can go and place a direct order, and that inventory get managed from the store. Now this was a great boost for the brands. They said now they know there is another channel they can use to get their inventory out of the stores. When then we realized that some of these brands had their websites of their own, which had a good footfall, but they didn't can't generate demand from there. Okay, so we created Pulse now. Okay, it's a lightweight order management system which you can just place as a button on their website and so sort of convert all those website visitors into your customers. Wow. Okay. Now they can place an order from their website and that order gets fulfilled from our store. Now, when this got rolled out, there were set of brands who were already running e-commerce stores on Shopify, WooCommerce, or Wix, and they came to us that we also need a similar solution. So we created a headless version which will silently sit at the back and take your orders from Shopify or say WooCommerce and plug it back to the store. So all that hassle of hyperlocal fulfillment, all that hassle of mapping the stores based on pin code, location, lat long, that got resolved. Now, so this is how we sort of adopted incremental innovation and product driven approach to move from one point where we were doing sort of nothing apart from the food aggregator fulfillment to the point where you can proliferate your demand channels for the inventory which is lying at the store.
Interesting, very interesting. That must have taken a lot of your operational headache, coordination, and getting things in place to the last mile.
Yeah, you know what? When there's an outcome based sort of actions at an organization, that then we don't talk in terms of product or tech or data or AI. I think all the blocks have to fall in line. You know, starting from operations, of course, it's a major part, major component of any business level execution that we do. But product, then operations, finance, our support, customer support, control tower, everything falls in line. And that holistic, or so the entire ecosystem plays a role in making sure that customers, we solve a problem for the customers.
Very interesting, right? Because when we see product, now we are talking of different function, how the product can help and make it easy for them in terms of their day-to-day work, right?
Yeah.
Because we are talking of multiple teams, because you said it's not just the tech or not just the operations, right? There's a lot goes behind the scene in every organization. Yeah, great. So let's talk about design because that's something what you've been subtly putting across, right? Getting things in place. And given the lunch hour, what we are, and we're talking a lot about Zomatos and others where our fingers are running to order something. I got that word, what you said this afternoon when we're having a short discussion. You mentioned the idea of design recipe, right? I mean, that's where it struck like food recipe. I mean, design recipe, that's something caught, and I thought let's deep dive a little more and understand the framework for creating product that matters and what are the key ingredients in this recipe because recipe is all about a lot of ingredients coming into play and that's where the taste.
Yeah, no, great question. So I think you see the recipe is, if you see stepwise approach to arrive a solution, right? We all have different approaches. I may have different approach to reach the same point. You may have a different way. So, but when I talk about the product driven approach and mindset, I talk about I try to simplify the things. Number one. Number two, I try to make those consistent habits so that we continuously follow those habits. So my three pillars of the design recipe is number one, empathy, which means start talking and listening to your customers. Okay. Whether they have a feedback, whether they have a complaint, or whether they have a sort of a suggestion, invited or uninvited, start listing that down. That plays a huge role in assessing what offering you have right now, but what is that something which is needed for the customers to live through or to solve a problem. Empathy is I would say, a very essential, but very critical component of your product journey. You need to empathize. And it's not like you are sympathizing with the customers. Of course, you are. But when it comes to empathy, it is you have to be a great listener and capturing the feedback which the customers are telling you about your product. Second, creativity. Now, creativity sort of encapsulates your ability to digest and accept that feedback and think that, okay, this is something which customers are asking. This is what my product is offering. How we can reduce this gap, okay, so that we start offering what customers are actually asking. Okay, maybe for many it may be filtering out the junk, the noise out of that feedback. Right? Maybe something you need to filter out which is not falling in line, but that should not be the major component. That should be like sort of cleaning the noise out of the feedback that you've collected. Right? Then finally comes the data, and data helps you in filtering out what you collected after talking to the customers. So, and data, always gives you the historical view. Okay, projections are factual, are based on whether this may happen or this may not happen. So, strike a balance between how much of data can be used to plan your product and get on to the product journey for the next phase. So these three things: empathy, creativity, and data. These are the three pillars of the design recipe for product mindset, and that helps you to define and evolve the product over time that becomes darling for your customers.
Very interesting. So, how do you embed empathy in your design process, right? Because there's something first time I'm coming across in this conversation with you, right? Empathizing and having that empathy in terms of how we can get things in place. So,
Yeah.
can you get a little more insight to that?
Sure. So a lot of times you might have seen when you complete a purchase from any of the platforms, say Amazon, Flipkart, or Quick Commerce, you get a chance to rate the delivery service.
Correct.
That's the smallest, or say the quickest touch point between the product and the customer. Whether you rate 5, they get to know that okay, whatever they're offered, are you liking that particular thing or not, right? And then there will be, say, customer calling, there will be customer conferences where product companies or say product builders want to connect with the customer base and understand what is their mindset behind using the product. Okay. A lot of SaaS companies in the past, I'm not talking about now because we live in a digital native world and every step, every thought that we make leaves a digital trace in this universe. But think about a decade old when the SaaS companies were just starting up and it's a web platform hosted somewhere offering you a service to probably say register a complaint or a feedback or a review, right? So the point I'm trying to make that there is a lot of data. We need to find the right channel to collect the data. It may be through that scoring model, rating model, talking and calling directly to the customer, asking them to come over and sharing their feedback. There could be n number of channels. Find the channels to collect the data. And the most important is be a great storyteller, be a great advocate of your product. Customers will speak out that look, you are a great advocate of your product, but see, this is the problem. This is an area which is still left out, which is gray, and I still have to find a workaround. Now, all of these workaround, all of these things which they are doing, which are not available in your product, and they are doing in order to achieve certain outcome, becomes the story, completes the story, completes the full arc. And I think this is what the entire gamut of empathy is, that sitting on the chair in a room will not help you build the product. You have to walk out and you have to talk to the customers to understand, first of all, how the products is getting adopted, is getting used, and what is that delta that you need to cover with the upcoming set of changes in the product.
Thanks. I mean, you spoke about three pillars, right? I think so. Pillar one, strike well. Another two pillars, right? We are talking about institution and data. How do you balance these two pillars now?
Yeah, sure. So I think, see, and we are sort of zooming on the data piece because there are a couple of, I would say, buckets of data. Most of the data on which the intelligence right now is sort of relies was captured around 5 years back, or say around 2 years back, and that is what becoming the trend. But if I really need to find out that what is going to become a cutting edge trend in the next 5 years or 8 years, there will be a slight tinge of my intuition, my smartness, and my foresightedness. That is what you call that visionary. Sort of, I can foresight a vision and see that this will play a role. This will grow big in the next 2, 3, 5 years, right? So your current intelligence depends on your historical data, but your future vision depends on your hunch, your risk taking ability. So strike that balance. There is, of course, a debate that how much intuition we need to have versus how much the reliability on the data will be. I can't rely a lot on the data that we capture now. There's a lot of junk available. So we need to find the right trusted sources of data that can be trusted to build the vision, build the strategy for the future. But yes, you cannot 100% rely on what we have been captured. Get that intuition for the future, get that vision for the future. There will be subtle calculation of how the future will be, right?
Mm.
So, for example, what happened with DeepSeek,
Mm.
right? OpenAI, ChatGPT, couple of years old technology got headshot by DeepSeek. I'm sorry, I'll not say headshot, but yes, it was still challenged for a couple of days, and future will follow soon. That how DeepSeek will play a role, or what potential it will capture out of the market of ChatGPT. Right. So this is how when we build products, we need to be intelligent with the older data, with the historical data. At the same time, we need to take some risk for the future trend as well.
Yeah. So that takes us to an interesting conversation from your innovation, right? I mean, innovation is the word we hear all the time. But how do you differentiate between true innovation and incremental iterations?
See, iteration and innovation are sort of two different things. Okay, innovation is finding solution to the same problem in the best possible way, where the customer journey sort of different. Okay, maybe if I'm traveling from here to say a different city, earlier if I was taking a bus, can I offer a solution to take a train? Or can I make the train booking journey a much better rather than the painful journey of standing in queues and waiting for the tickets to get confirmed? I would call that this particular channel as an innovative channel. Versus iteration is refining the same offering over the time again and again through some new changes, some slight changes. Okay, so that will give a better look and feel, better customer experience. That is what we call as iteration. Okay.
Mm. So, tell me one thing. How do companies strike the balance between this?
Yeah. So it's see very often because perspectives change, and very often we see that interchangeably we use these terms of iterations and innovation, and we love to call everything that we do as innovation. That's a different thing. That's a very personal opinion of considering a change as. But how do companies do? I think it all depends on the metrics that we capture. Okay, if something is like resulting or maybe based on the feedback. So if the customers are continuously using a product, great, no problem at whatsoever. But a slight change in the say customer journey, if I take just one step out, automate something, and then it results me in customer retention.
Mm.
Okay, probably that falls in under the iteration bucket. Versus if I'm telling them that until now they were doing these many steps and reaching the same milestone, same outcome, but now there's an add-on value to it,
Mm.
right? Your food will not just get delivered from Zomato. You will also get to know that what is the volume Zomato is driving today with the number of orders they show at the end, plus the order delivery tracking, plus the details of the rider, plus now they've started coupons at the end.
True.
This is what is the innovation is, which is like product led, and end of the day it adds value for both consumer as well as the businesses.
So let's talk about some failures as well, right? Because we have all heard the phrase, right? Fail fast, but learn also fast, right? So can you share a personal experience with failure and what you learn from it?
I love talking about this. So one of the biggest lessons I had was from my previous startup when I was running Codex, and the so the Codex was I started Codex to sort of set up the data-driven culture through data literacy and democratization. Primarily, it was coming out of the pains that probably I had working at large enterprises, where you have the intent, but there is a broken element of culture which plays a big role in getting these modern age, forward-looking technologies getting adopted at scale. So
Is it a mindset block or something, or it's a hardwired within the system?
it's not hardwired, I would say, probably to a certain extent, but it's a matter of time that we start seeing the change. So maybe that time it was my naive nature, or say over jolly to start something that I'm facing right now. I started with the data democratization and building learning paths for data literacy, and through an assessment stage that I'll first assess you, and then I'll tell you that what portion of the solution should be around the data literacy and the democratization. But guess what? I'm trying to assess leaders, CXOs, who have been in a position to play that role. No one likes it, right? So I used to talk to the CXOs, assess them, and show them the score, and they go defensive, right? That, dude, this is what I was supposed to be doing. And so they were ready to take up the solutions, but I sort of, in the initial first few conversations with the CXOs, I found out that this cannot scale after a certain time. Although solution is great, the intent is great to fix their culture, but this cannot, of course, follow the training route. At the same time, it cannot follow the assessment route that you survey someone, 100 people, tell them that where do they stand in terms of data and analytics literacy, whether they have access to the business data or not, and then start giving the solution, because that creates a split in the organization, that someone external is coming and telling us what we have to do to fix the cultural components. So the lesson I learned that it has to be driven through the product, and the mindset cannot be sold. Mm. Okay, mindset cannot be packaged. Mm. Mindset cannot have a price tag. Right, so it has to be built internally. Motivation drives a major chunk of building mindset within the teams, within the organizations, and culture is something that will build over time. If you try to fix from the middle, it will break. Mm. Find where the roots are, find what the spine of this culture is, fix that. Teams, organizations will follow very soon. There will be certain flux, there will be challenges, but over the time it plateaus out. It takes time. It will not happen on day zero, neither it will happen on day 50. It might happen on day 500, day 1000, but it will happen.
So we spoke about failure, right? I guess the audience would have got a fair viewpoint. But we'll have a Q&A towards the end. Please keep your questions intact. Definitely, we'll open up for Q&A. We'll make it more interactive. Right now, we're just trying to get the mind share and touch upon the topic of product as a mindset, right? So, what's your approach to measure success in product development, right? Because we got to hear about the failure. So, how do we measure the success?
Well, see, in a broader sense, two things: the adoption metrics, then the revenue metrics. These are the two things which define the success of the product. If the product is getting used by more than the users that you anticipated, it's a great product. Mm. Everyone loves it. But is the product getting monetized? Is the second success metric. Mm. So if I'm able to generate revenue from my product, it's even more great product, both for the consumers as well as for the company. There are some softer metrics which I would say that what is the CX score, what is the NPS, but largely all these metrics are bundled under either your user adoption, your user metrics, or the revenue metrics. Maybe over the time there'll be new PMs coming in, they'll design some new fancy metric, but I would love to club them in these two. This user metric, how many people are using, what is their retention, what is their NPS, what's it, and on the other side, how much revenue we are able to generate from this product, how quickly we are able to monetize. There might be freebie period, but over the time we need to have a clear path to monetization and profitability of these products.
This is getting interesting now, I must say, right? So, looking at it, what are some emerging trends in product design and innovation that you're excited about? Because I could see the joy and your passion when you talk about it. So, where is this leading now?
Let's see, and I hope many of us listening here would be interested to, know about AI and Chat GPT and where the GPTs are progressing. But see, these things are great. Don't get me wrong; these things are great. AI is great, and a lot of potential is yet to be unearthed, and it will happen in future. But if you but everything see gets packaged in the product. So I have a full confidence of having product living through the product in future as well. However, the technological elements, the components of these products will change, will keep on changing. Yes. Because from the time when you would have seen the black screens, the scripting and engineered products, simple if then else, descriptive products. Over the time, we started calling them more intelligent, making them more intelligent with the data feed from the backend, right? And now with the AI and ML and edge computing and agent AI coming in. So I would say it's a long answer to your small question that what is coming in future, what's a trend I'm excited about. I'm excited about what will be the contribution of these intelligent components within the products of future, okay, and how much of ethical uh, AI or product building we can foresee or how much declaration we will see in future. For example, there might be products like, I mean, we see AI getting used everywhere. You have co-pilots, you have Canva coming up with image generation, we have open AI and everything. Now, how confident we are to say that this particular text or an image was an AI generated image. Sure. And as an author, I recently saw Amazon has started asking that the content which you are publishing, was it AI generated or not? Mm. And guess what? It's a simple checkbox. Mm. I have the 100% control on whether I declare my content as AI generated or not. So it takes a lot of confidence in us to say that no, this text which I'm posting here and there was generated by AI or not. Right? So I think the ethical version or ethical angle of declaration on the content and the data side will play a huge role. And I would love to see products coming in that space which can detect the AI generation, AI generated and non-AI content, the real ones. Uh, but the how do you package these components together is going to pick up a big time in the coming years.
Very interesting. Thanks for that, sir. So, as we were starting our session this afternoon, we were having a cross talk before the live streaming started. We did acknowledge that today's viewers, we have people from very diverse background across geographies, right? And interestingly, when we spoke about our topics, I could hear it is a diverse team which comes into a particular product as a mindset, right? So I would also like to hear from you, see, because today's participants come from CHRO background, L&D head background. We have business head, the CTOs, right? Uh, quite a lot of business heads who are participating in today's session, right? And when we started conversing, one of the things struck me also because I started a journey to start Skillemme as a offering to a lot of B2B customers. So my next question, which you could also touch upon, me as a person who would like to become a product leader, right, and innovator in this particular space, and touch upon even the functions which I just spoke about, the people who are participating in this session. Any advice you have if we are aspiring to be a product leaders and innovators?
Uh, See, and I think that is where I would detach product from any technology or any touch and feel tools. Mm. It's a mindset. So, as an HR, right, we can have the mindset that how continuously we can add value, we can make changes, make improvements in our HR process, right? And over the time, for example, the changes cannot linearly grow with the number of people attending to it. So there must be some touch and feel product to make sure that these processes are being followed with the minimal intervention. Intervention will be there, but it has to be minimal, right? So I think the mindset, the if we adopt that mindset of seeing the problem statements, understanding and accepting it, and making efforts to solve it in a way so that it becomes a process, becomes a set process that can be followed over time with different set of people and different set of groups within the organization. I think adopting that product mindset, growth mindset, and the ability to solve these problems primarily will help the participants from variety of backgrounds and domains to be the product leaders in their own domain.
Good. So we're almost timing right. So we're almost come towards the end of our session. But happy to hear you guys. You could use the chat window, post in your question. We are happy to answer you live. If it's taking a little more time, you could always ping us. We'll be more than happy to reply back with the right content to the questions or queries you have.